Welcome to A Bird Below part 2 of the diorama and a picture frame. So let's get straight with the build and we'll show you how I finished the model off. Oh, and a wee note there, I did get it wrong, this is beer cans, it's actually toffee cans the chap made the buses from. So over to the build and we'll see it. The main wall I use this Celotex, like some people call it carbon foam. It's cut to 3mm. It does come on a big sheet. And you always need to be sure you start with a clean, straight edge. I use the old roofing square to get them straight. Put my template on top of the Celotex and I always use a sharp razor blade or my little knife as well. It's quite important when you're cutting this stuff here, you slice it. If you try and press down on top of it, you'll compress the Celotex. I'll cut these ones out here. Clean the corners up, just use a file. Yeah, quite nice. With the windows, when I printed them, I didn't make them square. I printed them so that a little angle. It's a little angle just to get a little bay effect. So when I glue them in there, I'll be just sticking out a little touch. Not a little added extra feature. The best way to glue filament is using a bit of super glue. That's the window. Then it's just a little slight bay effect on the window. Now it's got super glue in it now, it's not quite dry yet, and super glue and Celotex is not your best friend. So I'll leave that to cure and prime it before I put it anywhere near the model. And for marking the blocks I use a TP, this one here is a TP80. So every 3 feet all mark. In fact I might splash out and use a new one. I'm thinking about making these for sale. Quite unique, they're quite hard to find, the TP80. Leave a wee comment how much you think I should charge for these tools. So there's 3 feet, little mark. That's me ready to score across. Just a slight pressure down on them. That's that ready for paint. Not too bad. For the window backdrop, I've printed these off using a laser printer. Now, what I find is it's fine putting it on there, but through time it'll fade. So what I tend to do is give a coat of car lacquer, just clear lacquer paint. So I'll go outside there, I'll give it a clear lacquer, painted it with the lacquer. So measure out and cut them to size. So there we have it, folks. It's not quite true to the original design in the pub, but it's not too bad. And I'm thinking most of this will be hidden with a bus. So I've got the windows painted. I used to find it quite hard to paint the filament white paint, but I've learned to get a dark coat first, use black, and then paint it white. It comes out crisp. Better than just the paint on the bare filament. So they're ready. For the top windows I'm just going to use a bit of foil. You can take a picture and put curtains in it, but I'm don't want to distract too much from the model, so I'm going to use the foil itself. The choice for putting the windows on is Hi-Tac. I think it's from Hobbycraft. So I'll try to glue them on and then cut them out to size lengthwise later on. Put it aside. Get the tip drying. And change the colour. Primer turned out quite nice, but it did do a bit of tip drying, but that colour paint doesn't. Well, the main colour is going to be sandy brown, and I use a bit of airbrush flow improver as well with it. We'll see. It's a new brush and worked off great, but sometimes got problems with the acrylic drying, so maybe I have to take it apart, give it a clean, but I'll try anyway, see how it goes. Now it's a lot of green brown, most do a little bit of highlighting the joints and the build work. I've cleaned out the brush. That's it again. You're doing your dry brushing, your airbrushing with acrylic, you expect to find a bit of dry tip. Well, that's it in painting then, folks, so I'll let it dry and then we'll start fitting the bits and pieces to it. I've got the 3D printer set up, so I use a bit of PTF fluid WD-40 on the bottom, just to give it a little bit of lubrication. It aids getting the parts back off the body. So what we're doing, get it fired up. I use lychee to do the slicing for this one here. Split print, I'll leave it there and away it goes. So once it's finished I'll bring you back and let you see the finished product. Well, that's it finished now, folks, so once it comes up there we'll take it off and start cleaning. Yeah, well, that's it, folks. Looking very good, really pleased with it. So we'll get it scraped off the plate, take it down the stairs and wash it with isopropyl alcohol, and then we'll cure it with UV light. After that we'll stick it in a bit of black paint. I think it'll look lovely. So just a touch of yellow. I think if you make a mistake, all you have to do is start again. Well, that's the nameplate's done, and I've also printed it off and made this in the computer as well, as a resin print as well. It's not quite true, but that's, and again, it's going to be hidden with a bus, so not too fussed about it. So put these to the side now and we'll start doing an assembly. Start with the windows. Windows getting in me all day. And I've got a little bit of spillage there, so I've got a CB 75. Perfect. Okay, so for these ones there, I'll give you a bit of Araldite. Next thing again, I'll have tested Araldite against the Celotex, make sure it doesn't destroy it. Nearly crying there. So that's me. I've got a sign to put here on the roof to make for this part, so I'll go ahead and make that out. I've got a piece of plastic for the roof. I'll just sit like so. For the roof, just use a bit of grey slate, print it off sheet. And there's several ways you can stick it to it. You can use the high tack glue. I'm going to try to use this remount stuff here. There we have it, so I just need to make the guttering, and I had a bit of copper 0.1mm. I made the gutter and painted it black. So I'm just going to fix it on now using Araldite. So it's onto the roadway. So let's again, Celotex and a bit of foam as well for the Celotex for the curb line. The commercial inn, and what's called the area it is at, is a bit unusual where the roadway and the footway is the same height. So you've got a dividing curb raised up between both footway and the roadway. So I'm going to be using my mix of dry kiln sand and tile grout. It's not a coriander I'm going to use with it, it's just the jar I'm using. If Schwartz is watching and you want to sponsor me, give me a shout. My glue of choice is Morrison's PVA glue. Same again, Morrison's is not a sponsor. Just a little bit of water on the brush. I'll spread the glue across. Just take your time with the edges. So again, it's quite important you don't breathe this stuff in. Just shake off the excess. Use the masking tape to hold it down so it doesn't bend all the way up. And we'll let it dry for 3 or 4 hours. So I've made a long sign up for the commercial one. So I just need to stick it on the board again using Araldite. Also a little drain pipe I made up with a bit of brass rod and just used thread for the joiners for the effect of the drain pipe. Road done, I've got the building done as well. These points here, that's just to show the bracket on the gutter, and you can see it's a little bit shiny here as well, so I've got a bit of matte varnish and just paint them over with matte varnish, and that should give the effect that I want. On the road, just dashed it to give the white effect. I wasn't happy with dry brushing, so that's it. So now I'm going to design the garage showroom, this part here, and this bit here. So once I get that built and designed, and then I can paint the road and where get it installed and where the model itself. I painted the wall light blue colours. I vaguely remember it being like that back in the day. And I've also made a little window frame up as well, so I'll glue them in like so, and that'll sit like that. I've got a little bit of blue and grey just to put a line up the road. I'm also going to dull down the white effects just a little touch. So a bit of blue grey and a bit of airbrush flow improver as well. Well, that's me ready to start assembling the box. So I'll just glue the road in, so we can use the high-tack glue. Now, there's not much point in rushing doing these models. You just got to take your time with it. Put one bit in, let the glue dry. Once the glue is dried, think about moving on to the next part. I'll say again, in my past I've rushed things there and to my cost. It's no good rushing, just take your time with it. Let the glue set, then move on to the next part. So, a couple of weights, sit on top of the roadway. And just let the glue dry. To attach the bus, I'm going to use a bit of Araldite. On the bottom end of the bus, it's got this little ID plate, that's the guy who made them. I did say the guy who makes these beer tins, it's actually toffee tins. So the client's quite adamant I don't cover this part here, so I'll put the bolt right here. I'm going to use a little bit of Araldite. Because it's been painted there, you find it comes off, so once I use the Araldite, I'll snap it off and beef it up with super glue as well. I have in the past used hot glue on the first model. The time the client got home it fell off, so it's actually his idea to use blue tack and super glue. Quite ingenious. I'll just sit it there, let the glue dry. Car showroom put in place there, and I've got the commercial put in place. I'll let that dry, and once it's dry, and the buses dry, we'll get them in and we'll get sealed in using the frame as well. So we've got the bolt on the bus. Need to test the bolt for strength, so just get a little test, and lo and behold, it snaps off. It didn't actually snap off the metal, it's because it's painted that it snapped off. So I'll get some super glue out and I'll redo it with super glue as well, just to beef it up. Give that 2 or 3 seconds to dry. So I've marked the hole on the base of the board, so I drill a hole in it very carefully. So I'll cut off the excess bolt and then we'll get the frame on. And there we have it, folks, that's it done. I've sent a wee picture to the client, and the client is really happy with it. I must admit, it's been a really enjoyable build to build this one. I'm looking forward to build the next one. It's a bit of a long video, folks, but I don't apologise for it at all. It's a long build, actually over 17 hours of film I filmed for this video. So thanks for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and also please feel to make a comment, good, bad or indifferent. Thanks for watching, folks. Bye.